night. Got over 800 buildings. First Iowa. We got a good suit. Always nice to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention high overhead. Our distinctively painted C-31 Friendship aircraft is inbound for the first pass of today's performance. As the aircraft crosses gracefully overhead, the jump master gives a crossed-arm signal of hot target, signifying that the airspace is clear and it is safe to jump. The jumpers complete their final gear checks, then move to the doors at the rear of the aircraft. A thumbs-up signal of standby has been given. Watch momentarily for jumpers to exit the aircraft. The jumpers are out and the smoke is on. We now have two jumpers in free fall, rapidly approaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. These jumpers will fly their bodies apart to gain separation, then turn and streak back towards one another. They will use their hands, arms, legs, and shoulders as flight controls. They would close in on one another, gauging their speed, distance, and rate of closure from one another. Contact has been made in the 14-inch mahogany baton exchange. They alter their body positions to form 120-mile-per-hour spirals in the sky. And as the jumpers break apart and glide apart to their opening at 2,000 feet. And there you have it, the high-flying black and gold of your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights.
You got it. All right, you're on go.
Mr. Charlie Hillard, former team leader of the Christian Eagles aerobatics team, and parachute manufacturer Mr. Steve Snyder, exchanged the first baton over American soil in 1957. It was then believed that two jumpers in free fall could not possibly make contact.
You got it.
The parachutes used by the Golden Knights are flexible wing gliders, constructed of lightweight ripstop nylon. They have an inherent forward speed of 22 miles per hour. To turn left, the jumper pulls down on the left steering line. To turn right, the jumper pulls down on the right steering line. As the jumpers near the ground, they will pull down on both steering lines simultaneously for the safest and softest possible landing. At 1,000 feet, the jumper does what is called a wind penetration check, checking his speed and distance across the ground. He will then do a downwind leg, a base leg of 90 degrees to the target, and then turn and face into the wind for his final approach. our first jumper brings it in over the target. You may notice the small corrections he uses as he brings it in over the target. As he brings it in, shutting it down for a beautiful dead center landing. And his partner bringing it in, setting up behind him. Concentrating on the small black dot, bringing it in, shutting it down for a beautiful dead center landing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have ever wondered what would happen if a parachute did not work, then watch closely because you are about to find out. Please watch as our next jumper demonstrates a dramatic cutaway maneuver. The next jumper is wearing 3 parachutes instead of the 2 normally worn. He will actually deploy his main parachute, intentionally cause it to malfunction, release it completely, return to free fall, and then deploy his main parachute. These are the same procedures a free fall parachutes were to use if they were to have a malfunction with their main parachute. At the end of today's performance, we will be taking our parachutes to the recruiting booth over by the museum and repacking. Please feel free to stop by, ask any questions about free fall or one of the many opportunities in the Army.
This transmission is coming to you. You got it. You got it.
And our next jumper has exited the aircraft and ignited his smoke canister as he glides to his opening point.
You got it. All right, you want to go? You got it.
He will open his first parachute much higher than normal and intentionally cause it to malfunction. This is our only solo maneuver, yet one of our most exciting. There you have it. This is a perfectly good parachute and can be landed. However, the jumper will reach up, release one side of the parachute, and intentionally cause it to malfunction. The parachutist is now accelerating earthward at speeds in excess of 90 miles per hour. It would be impossible for this jumper to survive a landing under this canopy, so he must release it completely, return to free fall, and then deploy his main parachute. This is the same procedure a free fall parachutist would use if he were to have a problem with his main parachute. The reserve or the auxiliary parachute used by the Golden Knights is also a flexible wing glider such as the one you see now. There are some differences. It is white in color, slightly smaller in wing surface area, with a much greater forward speed of up to 30 miles per hour. This enables the jumper to make it back into any tight situation, such as a downtown intersection or major league stadium. While each of the jumpers will repack his or her own main parachute, a certified parachute technician must repack the reserve every 120 days, whether it is used or not. The released parachute you see floating earthward will be recovered, untangled, and hooked up for use again. If it does float towards you, please do not attempt to retrieve it. Our recovery team is on its way. You may notice the 7 openings on the front of the parachute. These allow air to be forced in, inflating a flexible wing glider. It takes a great deal of concentration to land dead center on the target. The jumper keeps a close eye on the windsock located in the target area, and once on his final approach, he will shift all of his attention to the small black dot located in the center of the orange X. Watch the minor corrections our next jumper uses as he brings his canopy over the target area. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a big round of applause. Come on, you can do better than that. As he brings it in, shutting it down for a beautiful dead center landing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Our third and final pass of today's performance. Our aircraft is inbound. On this final run, you will experience the world-famous Golden Knight Diamond Formation. If you have any questions about the many opportunities in today's Army, please feel free to call 1-800-USA-ARMY or contact a local recruiter who is here today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look high and overhead, you may notice the nose of the aircraft moves slightly left or right in response to the jumpmaster's steering instruction. This allows the jumpmaster to maneuver the aircraft to a precise exit point for the jumpers. The jumpers are out and the smoke is on. As the team leader takes his heading in this direction, the left wing, right wing, and slot flyer key on his movements to form the wide diamond in the sky. Since vocal commands cannot be heard, and hand and arm signals are used for communication. At 7,000 feet, the team leader waves his arm, signaling all four jumpers to turn and move into the tight diamond formation. And there you have it as the jumpers streak apart and deploy their main parachutes. This is our salute to the attendants of today's show. Now, as you may have guessed, these jumpers are faced with a unique situation, a traffic jam in the sky. They must gain vertical separation to allow each individual jumper their own approach into the target area. This is accomplished by pulling down on the outside of the parachute and spiraling earthward at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour to set up an accuracy stack, just like you might at a busy airport. And up above them, it would appear that two jumpers have become entangled. That is not the case. These jumpers are performing another facet of the sport called canopy relative work. The formation you see there is called a two-stack. With the advanced aerodynamic design of the ram air parachute, it is possible to fly right up to the hands of another jumper without adversely affecting the flight characteristics of the parachute. As the jumpers come in over the target area, you may notice the tail of the parachute curl under. This slows the jumper's forward speed while reducing his rate of descent. As our next jumper brings it in, note the corrections he uses to bring his parachute in over the target. As he brings it in, shutting it down for a beautiful dead center landing. And the next person setting up above him, going to school off of the maneuvers he made. Note the concentration he has, bringing it in, the minor corrections with his hands. Shutting it down for a beautiful dead center landing. And our next jumper proudly flying the Delaware flag. Let's hear it. Give him a big round of applause. Shutting it down for a beautiful target area landing. As their last two jumpers set up above the target area, they can hear you up there just like you and I down here on the ground. So give them a big round of applause. Let them know that you enjoyed the show. Come on, bigger than that. Let's hear it. If you listen closely, you may hear the command of brake as they bring it in over the target area. These jumpers can carry on a conversation, just like anybody else on the ground. And let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Your United States Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights. He's a parachute maintenance technician with 2,600 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant Chris Altman. And now for the jumpers. Flying base on the exciting Baton Pass from Eagle Pass, Texas. He's an airborne recruiting liaison with 4,000 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Jason Davis. His partner flying chase and helping him to exchange the baton from Brooklyn, New York. He's a Special Forces Engineer Sergeant with 7,500 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Gino Suarez. And performing the dramatic cutaway from Ithaca, New York. He's an airborne aviation maintenance sergeant with 950 free fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Dan Mesh. Flying left wing on the world famous Golden Knight Diamond Formation. From Belchertown, Massachusetts, he's an airborne cavalry scout with 1,800 free fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Pete White. Locked in across from him in the right wing position. From Warden, Washington, he's an airborne personnel sergeant and also the assistant team leader of the Gold Demonstration Team with 1,500 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Sergio Pruneda. Flying one of the most difficult positions of slot from Dixon, Illinois. He's an airborne ranger with 750 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Andy Leake. And also flying in the Diamond Formation from Spring Lake, North Carolina. He's an airborne infantryman with 2,500 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Mike Elliott. And leading the Golden Knights in free fall, he's a team leader of the Gold Demonstration Team from Fort White, Florida. He's an M1 tank mechanic with 7,050 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Jake Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present the Gold Demonstration Team for the 2002 Air Show season. Members of your United States Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights. Now, in keeping with the long-standing Golden Knight tradition, we would like to present today's baton, which was flown in free fall, to a distinguished member of today's audience. Airman First Class Emily Cole has been introduced to the team leader. She will meet each of the individual team members and be presented with today's baton. Airman First Class Emily Cole is the newest airman here at Dover Air Force Base. She's originally from Lubbock, Texas. She graduated from Odessa High School in 1999. Her parents are Mr. Donald Cole of Odessa, Texas, and Miss Katria Cole of Raton, New Mexico. Airman First Class Cole enlisted in the Air Force for a period of 6 years as a passenger service agent. She has completed 2 years at Texas Technical University and is working towards a degree in physical therapy.